Hello, this is a Yamaha C110N, 110 centimeters tall, made in about the year 2000, and the N signifies that it was made in Milton Keynes in the Kemble factory. So a lot of Yamahas were made in the Kemble factory, and well made. Obviously the Kemble factory is a really good factory. We buy Kembles very often. There's lots of legroom here, as there very often is on Kembles. 65 centimeters, that's 3 centimeters more than, say, the Yamaha U1H. So that's very encouraging if you're a tall person. The pedals are also very low, about 5 centimeters from the floor. That would normally be about 7 on a new piano, so that's encouraging. And the key tops are in good condition. The casework could do with a little bit of buffing on the top here, trying to improve it, trying to get rid of some of the scratching, and on the front as well. The inside of the piano is in generally good condition. I did find one damper that was not in its right place here, as you can see. It means the note's carrying on too much. So that just needed being put back into place, and the damping is generally good. The lift is about right with the pedal. The wedge dampers lift off and clear the strings quite clearly. Maybe one millimeter or two more would be helpful, but I think it's working well. And the dampers to the keys, they're quite late really, and so we look at these two here. It's as late as you would want to go, later than average, so normally be about the maximum would be about 2/3 the way to the string, and they seem to be almost 3/4, but it's working fine and lifting them well. But strangely enough, it's very out of tune in some places, though it's more or less at concert pitch, so I don't really know why that is. According to the client, it was kept in rather hot environment from time to time, so, and it wasn't tuned for a long time, but it's maintained concert pitch, and yet many of the notes here are out of tune. I checked the tuning pins and they don't seem to be particularly loose, so slightly mysterious that. If it was put in a very hot environment, that might be the reason. But I think it's settled, and if we fine tune it, I think it'll be alright. Though being a bit of a mystery, I'm a bit concerned about that. So if you're a tuner and can throw any light on that, would be useful. Why they should be so out of tune, unless someone's just been playing around with the tuning pins, but I can't believe that would be the case. At least it's highly unusual if that's the case. The general tone of the piano is reasonably good. The client says it's a bit bright, and there are some notes that are bright. That's rather bright, as it often is on the break point here, so we've probably disguised that in. That's a bright note. I think voicing them rather than having to do anything else is probably the right thing to do. A beautiful solid bass, very similar to a Kemble really. There are some Yamahas made around this time in Indonesia, and they're not well made at all. I've just come across one actually. They're called the E108. Some of them, I don't think they're all made in Indonesia, but there's certainly that early ones made in Indonesia are best avoided really from our experience, particularly the one called an E108. So the main work on the piano seems to be to tune and voice and improve the scratching. I did tune the notes that were particularly badly out of tune in the bass area, tenor, and there doesn't seem to be any problem with them, so I don't think we've got a problem. I'm not quite sure why they were so bad. It's a very solid bass sound for the height of the piano, so there's some very positive thing to say about this piano. The key weighting is reasonable. It's a little bit on the high side, but I think lubricating a balance rail is going to bring that down enough, and we can just fine weight it if we need to after that too. That's the Yamaha E110N, made in Milton Keynes. The N stands for made in Milton Keynes, and it's a well-made piano. It's made in the Kemble factory. Kemble pianos, we buy pianos, especially of this age, the year about 2000. Those are the Kembles that we're looking for as well. and it's a sweet sounding piano, plenty of legroom, which is very useful. Kembles also have a lot of legroom made in that time. There are many Kembles in England, much older ones that we don't buy and sell, but this particular age of Yamaha and Kemble, generally very good pianos. This one's not been used very much. Obviously the amount of use the piano's had is really important. So this is a piano that I think if we fine-tuned it and voiced it, and perhaps just try and improve the scratches a bit, there'll be no reason why it shouldn't last for a long time. It's not been played very much, so it's not much different from a new piano. In fact, it's much better than a cheap new piano, providing there isn't a problem. And I can't see the fact that these notes were out of tune so much around here. The tuning pins are quite tight. They're not as tight as they were when they were new, but perhaps the client said that it was the room thermostat wasn't always working and it got very hot, so let's assume it was something to do with that. If you're a tuner and like to say what you think it might be, then that would be really useful to know. There was one or two intervals not very well in tune either, but I don't think it's anything to do with the tuner. I think it must be something to do with the environment. It's an excellent touch and an excellent tone. So thank you very much for listening. If you have a piano and you'd like the piano assessed, please do write to info@robertspianos.com and we'll see if we can help. It's an extremely solid bass sound.